teaching her to smile again the first time I saw her. She wasn't crying, but her eyes carried the weight of someone who had forgotten how. Her face was pale, her lips pressed into a straight line, and though she sat among people, she looked like she was miles away from all of us. I didn't know her story yet, but I knew this somewhere in her life. Someone had stolen her smile. Her name was Aisha. She had transferred to our school halfway through the year, the kind of quiet that made people uncomfortable. She didn't answer questions in class, didn't eat lunch with anyone, and walked with her head down. Rumors floated around her parents had divorced, her mother had passed away, she'd been bullied in her old school. Nobody really knew the truth, but everyone had their own version. For me, it wasn't about finding out what broke her. It was about reminding her that she wasn't broken forever. It started small. One afternoon, I saw her sitting alone on the bench after school. I tossed her a pack of biscuits and said, "If you're planning to sit here every day, at least keep me company." She blinked at me, startled, and for a moment I thought she'd tell me to go away. But she didn't. She just opened the biscuits, broke one in half, and handed me the bigger piece. Day after day, I made it my mission to sit with her. I told her dumb jokes, even if she only raised an eyebrow. I shared funny stories from my life, embarrassing ones too, because people open up more when they know you're willing to make a fool of yourself. And slowly she started talking about her favorite books, the songs she listened to at night, the way she used to draw before she lost the mood for it. Then one day I asked the question I'd been avoiding. "What happened, Aisha?" Her voice was flat, but her eyes glistened. "My father died last year. My mom. She's alive, but she's not here anymore. She works abroad. She calls sometimes, but it's not the same. I was living with my uncle's family, but it didn't feel like home, so I stopped feeling anything. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. I just sat there, letting the silence wrap around us. Sometimes silence is the only way to say, 'I hear you.' From then on, I was just trying to be her friend. I was trying to teach her how to smile again. I convinced her to join the art club, even though she said she wasn't good anymore.
Oh.
The first time she picked up a paintbrush again, her hands trembled. But she kept going, each stroke softer than the last, like her heart was relearning how to breathe. It wasn't easy. Some days she'd vanish back into herself, skipping club meetings, ignoring my calls. And each time, I'd go find her, not to push her, but to remind her she wasn't alone. Healing doesn't happen in a straight line. The real change happened during the school festival. Our art club had to set up a booth, and I secretly submitted one of her paintings for display. When she saw it hanging there, framed and lit under a spotlight, she froze. "That's mine," she whispered. Yeah, I grinned, and it's beautiful. And people came by and complimented it. I saw her shoulders straighten, her eyes brighten. And then, for the first time since I'd met her, she smiled. Not a small, polite curve of the lips, but a real, honest-to-goodness smile that reached her eyes. From that day on, Aisha laughed more. She teased me about my terrible handwriting. She joined in class discussions. And sometimes, she even made the first move to start a conversation. She was still healing. Grief doesn't disappear, but she was living again. Years later, we sat in a cafe, sipping tea on a rainy afternoon. She told me, "You didn't fix me, you know. But you reminded me that I could fix myself. You taught me how to smile again. And that's something I'll never forget." I realized then that we all have the power to be someone's reason to hope again. Not by forcing them to heal, but by standing beside them until they remember they can. Because sometimes the most beautiful smiles are the ones that come back after being lost for a long, long time.